Okay, let's bring this meeting to order. Today, September 26th at 7:06 PM.
Mr. Calvo is absent. Ms. Casa Munoz.
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Present.
Ms. Perez is absent. Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Tunidor.
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Madam Vice President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Okay, everyone, please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Lord, we pray for your guidance and direction and benefit of those who live and work in the city of Hialeah. Amen.
Everybody face the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please read the meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
Okay, moving on to presentations.
Mayor's report, update on fiscal year 2022 through 2023 capital projects.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we're going to have various department heads come up and speak. And I think all of you, if you go to your monitors, and I think we put out a handout for everybody. I believe we have, or we're doing it as we speak. Colleagues, the reason that we wanted to do this presentation is that last year, and although today's not the budget hearing, but last year, when we were going through the budget, we had spoken to various items that the city wanted to address. You were all kind enough to support our budget request. And I thought it was extremely important to bring you an update on the things that we said we were going to work on in the last fiscal year, and also the things that may still need to be addressed or will be addressed in this budget cycle that we'll address tomorrow. But with that, I'd like to, with your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'd like to bring up Jose Sanchez. How are we going to start? Jose goes first. Okay. Okay. All right. That's what my script says. So, all right. Jose.
Good evening. Well, pretty busy year for streets.
All right. Sorry. Good evening. It was a pretty busy year for streets. We tackled a few capital projects. Okay, thank you. So we tackled a few capital projects, some resurfacing, some safety, and some landscaping. I'm gonna start off by showing some of the before and after pictures of some of the projects. I'll give you a quick overview of the project and what was done this actual fiscal year. We'll start off with 76th Street. This was a multi-year project. It was from 20th to 36th Avenue. The project was divided into 5 phases. Most of the construction, about 4 phases, were completed in prior years. This year, we completed the segment that is up in the screen, which is the segment 20 to 24th Avenue. This was the 5th phase. That was about $1.2 million. the scope of the project was pretty much widening and a complete reconstruction. We improved sidewalks, lighting, drainage, and the road went from a 2-lane typical to a 3-lane typical, 1 lane in each direction and a turning lane in the center. The next one is also between 20 and 24th, just a different angle. There you can see on the left, the before picture was a very old infrastructure, 2 lanes. Now the picture on the right is the after picture, it's 3 lanes, completely brand new. Now, the other segment was phase 4. Most of the construction was done in prior years. The only thing we needed to do this year was finalize the intersection of Hialeah Gardens Boulevard. There, what we did was we provided a new mast arm to match the lanes that we increased. It used to be 3 lanes at that intersection. We made an extra lane for a right turn movement, and we had to improve the mast arm. That's what we did this year as part of this phase. Now moving on to Northwest 102nd Avenue. This is also a multi-year project. It was approximately $4.2 million. It was divided into 2 phases. This was a mix. The south portion was originally a 2-lane road. The north portion was a dirt road. So what we did, we incorporated a 3-lane typical section with new lighting, drainage, and roadway. The majority of the road was constructed in prior years, with the exception of 138th Street, which was done this year. There, we widened the intersection to provide an additional left turn lane and accommodate the truck traffic. It was kind of hard to maneuver that right turn if you were heading westbound. So we increased that radius and we relocated a mast arm. The mast arm we should be passing inspection soon, and we should activate it in the next couple of months. There's another picture of the north area. The picture on the left was a dirt road. That was the north portion. Now the picture on the right, as you can see, is a fully constructed 3-lane typical section. Now moving on to 97th Avenue. 97th Avenue was also a multi-year project. It was divided into 2 phases. Most of the roadway was completed in prior years. What we did this last fiscal year was the signalization, which was on 158th Street, and now we're working on 162nd Street. The one on 158th is completely functional. The one on 162nd, we're gonna pass some inspections, and in a few months, it will be activated. This was a long and evolving project. It started off with just a 2-lane design. Those already 2 lanes there. We're just gonna increase to 2 lanes. And with all the development in the area, there was a lot of demand for signals and things like that. And we had to modify our agreement and start including those signals. Now, all along 97th from 138th North, you can see that there's a signal in almost every intersection. We also did some resurfacing. We did about 2 lane miles of resurfacing this year. There's some of the examples, the before and after. We also tackled safety components such as sidewalks. We spent about $500,000 this year. We pretty much replaced over 100,000 square feet of sidewalks that were damaged throughout the city. That's a continued effort that we plan on continuing years to come. We also tackled restriping. As you can see here, we're working on First Avenue. This one on the slide is 60th Street. As you can see, you could barely see the lines on the left picture. Now it's fully restriped, a lot safer road to travel. This is another image at another angle. I believe it's also on 60th Street, before and after. We also had a request from police and the school around Cohia that there was a lot of students crossing everywhere. There was no designated crosswalks. We tackled that project. We provided some crosswalks. There you could see 26th Avenue. There was an intersection that was being used a lot by students. There was no striping whatsoever. We created 2 crosswalks with signage and striping. to make it safer for pedestrians to cross. And now I'm getting to the landscaping. Landscaping was a collective effort with parks. We had a study done, well, not us, the University of Florida and FIU completed a study in 2021 for the county. They pretty much included 34 cities and they took up the percentage of canopy that each city had. Sadly, we're the second lowest in canopy. We scored at a 7.4% in canopy. In one way, it's good because it allows us to, gives us access for more funding. But we need to improve on that. So as far as streets, we invested almost $300,000. We planted 416 trees. And the goal is to continue this process. We're going to pursue other grants to try to increase that canopy and put us up in the scale a little bit. The next slide here, it's some of the projects that we did. This is 28th Avenue. We did some tree planting on the medians and some on the swales and abutting the canal. I'm not going to steal Parks thunder, so I'll turn it over to Michael and Willie so they could elaborate on what they did on their parks.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I was looking for mine. Hey, just a quick question. Willie, great job. Mayor, great job. I mean, I think that streets is something that our residents are very quick to judge and to notice and to have a great response from you and your team is great. So I do appreciate that. Just a quick question. I noticed that a lot of the streets that were on this slide were specific to the west side. And just maybe for folks to know as well, at what point do we plan to pivot towards the east and southeast where we see a lot of need?
Well, we actually have other projects that I didn't include them in the slides because they're too early on. We've only completed the drainage. So
Okay.
one of them is still on the west side. There's another one on east between 4th and 6th Avenue from 9th to 12th Street. Is starting right now. We expect to complete that in middle of next fiscal year. And tomorrow you'll see we have a lot of new projects. We
Okay,
got
good.
about $20 million worth of improvements for next year.
Perfect.
And
Thank-
some of those are in the east side. I would say 3 or 4 of them, big capital projects are on the east side.
Okay.
Some of them west of 6th Avenue and some of them east of 8th Avenue. We're also going to start designing the southeast area. We're going to hit that really hard. We'll, of course, contingent on the budget approval.
Mhm.
But we have about 5 areas that we're redesigning in the southeast area that should cover most of the streets that haven't been improved, since that's one of the areas with the oldest infrastructure.
Yeah.
So we're tackling the east side, whether it's southeast or all of East Hialeah. So we're pretty much spreading it out throughout the city.
Perfect. Also, and then just so that everyone's aware, you have a method as far as prioritizing what streets get some help, right, or get renovated first, right? You have a certain method to this.
Yeah, we have like a 10-year capital plan
Okay.
in my department.
Mhm.
And we advanced some of the design like we're doing with the southeast area. That puts us in a better position to seek additional funding, whether it's state or any other funding that may become available.
Right. So it's
So-
not, so again, it's not, I just want to make sure it's not arbitrary. We wake up one day and we say, you know what, that street you actually go and assess to see which streets actually need the help, right?
Yeah, the main
Yeah.
focus right now is the drainage. That's one of the biggest complaints that we get from residents. So that's what we focus most of the projects on. It's
Yeah.
mostly tailored around drainage.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, you're welcome.
The one who wakes up wanting to do a street is me, and then he has to tell me, no, we can't do that one yet. Of course, correct me, but they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And they're more than aware of areas of residents that all of us have knocked on their doors and have
Yeah.
asked and complained and says, look, I've been living here 40 years. They've never done my road. And those are the roads I've asked him at least to take into consideration, but he has his methodology.
Yeah.
He has, what he needs to do as far as his pecking order. Because when you're doing one street, it could, without knowing, you may be affecting another street.
That's right.
They're professionals at this. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing, so they have my confidence, and just wanted to show you that what you supported last year
Mhm.
was actually being carried out and done. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
wish list is long. I mean, As long as
Oh,
the
yeah.
funding is there.
No, I want to make sure we're on the same page. We have an event this weekend and it's in Southeast. And so we want to make sure that, when we go and tell them, hey, we hear you. We know that there's needs here, but there's a level of priority, right, that we give to each road. So just so they don't think, right. So I want to make sure we're on the same page with that.
Through
Ya
the
viene
chair.
llegando, ya viene llegando.
Yeah,
through
we
the
have
chair.
5 areas in the southeast that are gonna be designed, and one of them is gonna move into construction. So
So through the chair, so the southeast, the one that we had the town hall meeting, that's the one that the group of people were there that complained, right? The one in back of the CVS, of the Walgreens back there on the southeast side?
no, that's already going a little bit further north on the east side.
Okay,
I think that's between 5 and 9.
okay.
The ones we're doing are south of Hialeah Drive. There's 5 different areas. And
That's the
one of
area.
them is gonna go into construction.
Gotcha,
We're
gotcha.
gonna design the first half of the fiscal year. And then advertise, and probably we'll get started towards the end of the fiscal year, the
Gotcha.
upcoming
Okay.
fiscal year.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, next up, I think is Michael's going to speak a little bit about parks. Mark and Willie.
Good evening. So tie into what Jose was speaking about facility beautification, we've taken that into parks. So for the first time, Parks was part of the Green Streets grant to plant trees within the parks. We focused on facility beautification, implementing new design standards, and lighting and safety at the parks. One of the biggest design implementations that we're doing with streets and with the Green Streets grant is including tree-lined walkways in all our parks. This was a big deficiency that we saw when we came in, and along with streets where people congregate. So your playgrounds, your dog parks, your parking lots, those places where people congregate, giving them a comfortable place to enjoy the park. Within parks this year, we planted 230 trees, including 100 down the street here at Babcock Park. We teamed up with parks, streets, special events, and the construction department for the holidays last year to beautify the entrances to coincide with the holiday lighting displays that were installed by special events. And we're already planning a second round of improvements going into this holiday season, building off of what you see there on the right-hand side. Just a quick before and after of new design standards, thinking of people or parks for people, and thoughtful use of trees and spaces to create an open environment for people at the park. And with that, I'd like to dive into some of the park projects that we completed this fiscal year, along with our director, William Sanchez. I'm Michael Festa, the Deputy Director of Parks. So at Babcock Park, this is one of our signature projects. This was completed in tandem with construction and maintenance, George Martinez. We worked hand in hand in all these projects that you see to do this final product. And there's many people that were involved in this. And that's why I want to recognize them as we go through the presentation. One of the biggest components as part of these facility improvements is programming the spaces. So it's not just we're fixing a park, but we're actually activating the parks. At Babcock Park, we did some beautification along East 4th Avenue, landscaping throughout the park, playground repairs, a new lightning warning system, painting, roof repairs, activation of the batting cage. We brought in the Marlins to run the Marlins Youth Academy. This season, we have approximately 95 participants in it. That's a 200% increase from what we had in the spring. So people are getting the word about the academy at Babcock Park. Like I mentioned earlier, we planted 100 trees at this park. If you drive by, it is noticeable. It's a huge difference to what it was before, just in tree canopy. And I want to thank for this project, along with construction and streets, our Parks Division team led by Lisandra Macias. This is the front of the Recreation Center before and after. Part of our design standard is making sure that our entrances are beautiful, that they welcome people into the park. This is just south of the Recreation Center, and this is a wildlife corridor that we created through a $10,000 grant with the Miami Association of Realtors. Species specifically selected because they attract birds and pollinators. In 5 years, this will be an amazing place to have an event on a busy avenue where we can have farmers market, those types of activations. Whereas you can see on the left, it was previously just grass. So this is a positive activation of that space. I want to thank Planning and Zoning, Chris Borges, our landscape architect in-house, because he actually designed this for us. Babcock Pool before and after, again, creating a welcoming entrance when you drive into the parking lot. Landscaping, bright, clean, crisp colors that kind of signal, you know, a new Hialeah. Playground before and after at Babcock. We did shade repair, surfacing repairs, new seating areas, because we noticed that parents would sit on the rubber surface to watch their kids. So we actually created a space for them. We added that fence to add additional security and peace of mind. And along with that, there was a staff parking lot that was adjacent to that playground previously. We decided that that was a safety issue and as well as an aesthetic thing that could be remedied. So Streets actually demolished that parking lot for us and we sodded it. And now it's a green space and not a parking lot next to a playground. Just before and after of the racquetball at Babcock Park, clean, crisp colors that invite you into the park. At Bucky Dent Park, I'll go over some of the things we did this year and things that will be going into next year's budget at FY24. Bucky Dent is a very special facility. It's the only indoor gym in the city. And with that, we felt that the space needed something that branded it as Hialeah. So a simple project with special events, we put up banners with each of the park colors, which if you grew up in Hialeah parks, you know your park color, you know your park. And that's actually been one of the more popular things that we've added at this facility this year. Along with that, we moved 1/3 of our youth basketball league indoors on Saturdays. We had crowds in excess of 300 people on Saturday mornings at this facility. And that was an amazing thing to see. We're launching our junior NBA league this month. And along with that, our adult basketball league starts this week. So this facility is heavily programmed. And I want to thank Gian Barzaga and the recreation division for working on this to activate this gym, because it's truly one of our jewel amenities in the city. In the interim, as we replaced the roof, we did upgrade the lighting in-house with construction and maintenance, just to enhance the experience within the park. And you can see the crowd there watching their kids play basketball, which is an amazing thing when you move your games into the weekends. And at this point, I'd like to bring up Mr. George Martinez, the construction director, so he can go over some of the life safety items that were addressed at Bucky Dent Park. Yeah.
Yeah, in Bucky Dent Park, Jorge Martinez, construction and maintenance. In Bucky Dent Park, we have a lightning strike this year that create a very difficult insecure situation over there with the communication tower. You can see before how it looks after the lightning strike and the right, what the construction team did to repair that area. The meter can, the transformer, and the disconnector, everything was replaced by our team. We also work together with Park and Recreation, updating the lighting system in the parks. This is in the Bucky Dent Park, the parking lot that was practically dark at night. There was so many lamps in the north parking lot that need to be replaced. We replaced with LED lamps, and it looks it's a complete different pictures right now. We also works in the update of the fire panels in Bucky Dent, in Walker Park, and in White Park. This was a situation that was taking us a lot of emergency calls because this panel was in pretty bad shape. We replaced the three park with a new system and new devices. The another picture this was in Bucky Dent. That was one of the first problem that I found when we did the assessment of the park. that the irrigation, the fire sprinkle system was completely disabled. It was part also of the project that we did with the fire panel together. Yes. I will continue later.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Hold it, just at the top of your head, these enhancements for these life safety issues, how much you think it was?
The cost?
Yeah,
Well, the panel was pretty expensive. The one of the panel was $44,000.
Yeah.
It's not the panel, it's the panel but plus the device. It's, store, pull stations, smoke detectors.
Yeah.
The another panel in Wild. Let me see which one it is.
just in total with everything, more or less, 100,000?
Less, a little bit less.
A little bit less. And how long have they been operating like that? Do we know?
Well, I started here in December,
Yeah,
but for a long time.
yeah, for way before that. Okay,
The Wild was the year before.
yeah,
It took almost a year to repair. There was some problem with the permit and something like that, but
yeah.
it took a year.
Okay, no, thank you for addressing.
This was another project by construction at Bucky Dent Aquatic Facility. We had been quoted to replace that shower system that was obsolete. We couldn't get parts for over $40,000, and we did it for $10,000 in-house, which is a significant savings to the staff. And there's a lot of work behind those panels, which you can see in one of those pictures. So thank you to George and his team for doing that. Now, next fiscal year 24, we have a series of significant projects at Bucky Dent. I would say it's one of the parks that needs the most help right now. We're planning to replace all of the roofs in the complex. So that's the gym, the aquatic center, Edgar J. Hall, the softball complex, new gym floors in the gym that were damaged because of the issues with the roof, a new lighting system throughout the park, including the softball complex and the indoor gym. The aquatic center has already been completed by construction and maintenance, installation of the new activity pool in the aquatic center, painting, landscaping, and additional building enhancements throughout the complex. There's also going to be part of the green grant application for next year is to heavily forest this park as part of this project. And those are some pictures of the current conditions at Bucky Dent Aquatics Center, which will look completely different to that when we have this presentation next year, hopefully. At Senator Roberto Casas Park, we restored the original name of the park. We also addressed the exterior of the facility with painting, some landscaping work, and a new drinking fountain, just a before and after of what it was to what it is now. The residents in that area now call it the White House, which is, I think is funny. This was a construction and maintenance project. This was a water fountain that was removed many years ago and never replaced. And this was done in-house by our staff. New standard, the bi-level bottle filler station. And this is way more vandal proof than the equipment that we were installing before at the parks. You can literally take a baseball bat to that and it'll be okay, which is good. Our next big project, which we recently completed, was at Good Luck Park. And this is phase one of hopefully many additional improvements to Good Luck Park, but I think it's a great start. We added 6 dedicated pickleball courts in the tennis center. We opened Park Avenue, the city's first dog park. We refreshed the tennis center. We added 35 additional shade trees within the park. We expanded operating hours from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the week at no additional cost to the city's taxpayers. And we extended tennis center hours because of the demand that we have seen with pickleball in the tennis center. Before and after of what used to be tennis court 11, now it's 6 dedicated pickleball courts. Again, that's a Miami blue. If you've been to our parks recently, we're incorporating that color into our staff, and that's going to be our brand, is that color. So when you go to a Hialeah Park, you know you're in a Hialeah Park. This is the front of the tennis center, cleaned the roof, painted the building, did some landscaping, and they flipped this building in about 10 days, the Parks Division team. the dog park, Bark Avenue, which is in an area that used to be previously used by residents, quote unquote, illegally to bring their dogs into the park. Now we've legalized it, and those dogs are welcome into the facility. McDonald Water Park. This was a facility that really hadn't been touched in a very long time. And we did painting, new shades, new lounge chairs, LED lighting upgrade, which allowed us to have the glow night in the park for the first time in many years. We did wave pool repairs. We added pickleball courts on the existing tennis court, expanded coverage and staffing, which included consolidating park operations with the pool, which again was at no additional cost to the city. And I want to thank especially Douglas and the aquatics team for working on this project with construction and maintenance, our vendors and our Parks Division staff to get this project completed. This is the pickleball courts at McDonald Park. On a typical night, there's 30 to 40 people waiting to play here at this facility. Whereas before we had maybe 5 or 6 people on the basketball court.
Not even.
New shade structures and seating areas within the water park. Before and after of the main recreation building for the park. We run all operations out of that building now, whereas before it was out of 2 separate buildings, creating a seamless experience for the residents. This is the wave pool before and after. This included Diamond Bright repairs on the pool surface and balancing the water. And this will lead into additional improvements during this off season to this wave pool. Mylander Park, we took a disused junior basketball court and made it into 2 portable pickleball courts that were donated by the Udonis Haslam Foundation. We cleaned the grandstand. Special events assisted us with fixing the scoreboard in the stadium. We installed new windows in the press box, landscaping, enhanced striping for football season. And actually yesterday, we started changing over the lights in the pool to LED, and the stadium lighting will be started the first week of November. So we hope to have a ribbon cutting sometime in December, January for that project. Just a nice aerial picture. And I want to recognize the staff at that park that have taken those pickleball courts and they're activating that almost nightly with kids, adults. They're encouraging people to use that for a positive activation, whereas before that was an empty space at night. Slade Park, we beautified the inside of the recreation center. We also created dedicated parking spots for the Hialeah Housing food program during the day after many complaints that we received about parking at the facility. So now they have dedicated parking spots. Sparks Park, this is a project that we completed about 3 weeks ago. New playground, design standards surrounding that playground with trees, especially trees that flower. We're pending painting the building, and then after that, we'll have a ribbon cutting, hopefully sometime in October to wrap up that project. And at Wild Community Center, we addressed some issues that were pending with the AC units with construction. We did the roof, upgraded the lighting in the banquet hall, waxed the floors, changed out some really old carpets in the offices and the teaching rooms that are in that park. And this was a project that Parks and Construction did in 7 days between start to finish. And with that, I'll introduce Kevin.
Through the chair a second. Thank you. Thank you for taking our calls all time, morning, nighttime. I appreciate that, the residents' voice. When you walk into the parks now at any time, you feel the energy, Mayor. The part-timer at night, you can feel them smiling and taking care of the residents, and that's because of leadership of this park managers, yourself, and thank you very much. I know we've been a pain in the rear end, but everything, it looks like every picture the residents send us has been fixed in the past 2 years, so thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you, everybody, for your support.
So just before we go on to the next one, I want to acknowledge it's really a team effort. So you see the park guys and the work that they do. They're passionate about what they do. They dive into it. There isn't anything that I say to them that I'd like to see happen. They don't figure out a way to make it happen. And so I'm very proud. You know, we talked about dog park and it happened. We talked about pickleball courts and it happened. But then there's other folks that they're not part of the park family per se, but they're also out there helping and identifying things. You know, Tim Benjamin would walk some of these parks, identify things that could be risk to our residents to get it addressed. You know, so you saw some of these slides there where the parks were just in disrepair, you know, and nothing was being done or were being paid attention to it, you know? And all this is happening while our parks are probably busting at the seam with the amount of people that are using our parks on a daily basis, okay? So whether there's people renting our facilities for birthday parties or for sports activities, soccer, all over the place. You've heard we're ramping up our leagues now. All of this, you know, it's just not about programming. It's about investing in this space. Because when we talk sometimes here about, you know, economic times and people are going through difficult situations, where they take refuge is in the park. It's the least expensive area. You could take your family to hang out and play and, you know, spend an afternoon. So, you know, we're going to continue to invest in this area. I think all of you have mentioned to me, you know, in different ways, how you want to continue to see this evolution. And, you know, we're also talking with public-private partnership opportunities to be able to do and continue to enhance. But this is a full hands-on team effort. I can't be more proud of the parks guys for what they do and how they collaborate with other departments. I mean, they do an outstanding job, and I'm very proud of what they do.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
You're recognized.
Just one last thing, Mayor, and the big things are great and they're beautiful, but also, you know, we got to give thanks for the small things, right? And how Michael was mentioning, creating more utilization on the space, right? The benches, the garbage cans, right? You know,
At
the
Armin.
trees to make it more walkable. And so those are things that they're small, but they go a long way. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mike. And
Thank you.
Willie.
Kevin's up.
Hey, good evening, council. Kevin Linsky, Public Works Department. Boy, the city's looking really good above ground. I hope we can get the below ground to look nearly as good as the above ground.
The underworld.
But I'm going to tell you, they had pretty pictures. You're going to thank me later that I don't really show you all the pictures of what we do. I don't even like sometimes the pictures. So I gave you a beautiful spreadsheet here, which I don't know if you can read, but I'm just going to summarize basically what's been going on. Our capital expenses last year were pretty modest. They were in the range of about $4 million. $3 million, and I'm going to jump back into this one, was extremely important because we've begun the process of lining the wastewater pipes, which when I follow back with that financially, it's the biggest thing that this department is going to do. It's going to, for the next 3 years, it's probably the greatest return on investment the city is going to see. So $3 million have been spent in the last year, starting to line the pipes. The remainder $1 million was primarily spent on equipment. The equipment was getting old. We bought some new pickup trucks. We bought an expensive vac truck. So whenever you see that there is a spill and we have to have a truck to remove the material, we bought one of those and a backhoe. Not exciting stuff, but we've done that. The most important number on the page really has to do under the ARPA funding and the encumbrances. So I had a good chance to sit with the mayor for several hours during the budget preparation process. And he has dedicated over the next few years a significant portion of the ARPA funds to helping solve the major problem with the water and sewer department. That problem is that our wastewater pipes, all wastewater pipes leak, right? If you go throughout this county, about half of the wastewater pipes in the county are under the water table. That gets very expensive. If your pipes are not in good shape, you get more leaks into the system and you end up paying for them. When you see our budget and you see how much we spend to process wastewater, people really aren't paying that much for water. It's extremely cheap. It is the wastewater that has become expensive. So when I stand here, hopefully maybe 3 years from now, there's going to be a really nice story to tell. There's enough money if it stays dedicated over the next 3 years to line nearly 40% of the system, which should drive down the leaks that are into the system, which should drive down the costs of the wastewater, and importantly, start pulling basins out of moratorium. We've got 20+ basins in moratorium, primarily because there's too much flow into those basins. It takes a long time to build that problem up, and it takes a few years to back your way out of it. So that's kind of where we are today with the system.
And look, I think all of us have, and let me back up for a second. I think what I might want to do over the next couple of weeks is, and we could either do it because we haven't done it in a while, since Kevin's been here, have a kind of like an executive session of the board and meet and speak about all these issues that we talk individually with regards to water, the finances and what have you. We'll get into a little bit of it tomorrow in the budget. But make no mistake, this is an unsexy investment that needs to be made. And I know that there's been a lot of chatter on radio about, water and what have you. We need to stay very resolute on this. If we do not invest, it'll be harder to sustain the growth that we've seen over the course of time. And I've said this privately and publicly. I do not want to live while I'm here with this Durham sword hanging over our head because we did not do the things that we needed to do. Kevin's got great relationships with the Durham folks. We all have relationships and we try to work these things out. We have Commissioner Garcia's office also involved into helping work in this space, but we need to stay firm about these investments, folks, because those that come and knock on your door that want to expand their business, bring their business, grow their business, anything, it's all tied to this. Okay. And again, it's not money you see. There's no ribbon cutting for these things, but it's something that we all have to stay firm and committed to continue to invest in this area. Okay. And this has to go a sustained investment that goes on for years. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to thank all of you.
Wait, we
Because-
still got Jorge. Just want to thank him at the end. We still got Jorge to come.
No, well, okay. I'll wait till the end then, but still, I was just gonna say, I mean, everything else that's been done with the streets, with the parks, Hialeah really needed it. We need the reamp.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good evening again. I don't have so many pictures like Michael. I think that Michael, my opinion is all that we have in the camera. But I just want to mention too, something that is important, and it's affordable houses. We found a lot of problem in affordable houses with the safety and security of affordable houses. And we decided to concentrate in the lighting and safety of all the buildings. We changed all the light system in Villa Aira with new feature, and in another buildings, we did the exit and emergency light in hallways, stairwells. We also changed the fire panels in 3 of the buildings. That was one of my main concerns. And the smoke detector inside of every single apartment. We changed 1,300 smoke detectors in the apartments. All of them are brand new. These are the pictures that you see how it's look now. I don't have the before because it was so dark. That I decided to don't put it over there because it doesn't look so good. But the main thing is that we decide to concentrate in the safety and security of the tenants. I want to congratulate my team. I started to work 9 months ago, and we have made a very special team. The electrician, the plumbers, the construction guys have done a lot of works in 9 months. There is nothing that I sit down with them every day in the morning and ask them what we can do it in-house. How I promised to Mayor when I start to work, he mentioned me, I don't have all the money that you need. But I told to him, well, what we have is the people, and the funds that we have, we are going to use in the best way that we can. And that's what we are trying to do. Pictures say many things, but I think that after I meet with the tenants in affordable houses, they are very happy. They said that they can see the change. And this is the more important thing for us. The safety and security of the building. We have been working in all buildings around. We have 3 projects in this moment in this building. We work with Park and Recreation every single day. We have excellent communication with all the directors. And I think that this is the more important thing for us. The communication between the department to see how we can do all that we need to do in the city. We have more projects in progress right now. We have the project in JFK. That's one of the pictures that we have before and after. That was complete last month. That was a big project. In this moment, we are doing the walkway around the JFK that is supposed to finish this month.
I'm just curious,
Next
how
one,
expensive
yes.
was, sorry.
Yep.
Well, I'll ask you later on. Sorry, finish with.
Then we are planning to do this year the roof of Bucky Den, Bright Park, Holy Works, Fire Administration, and Wyatt Park. That means we have a lot of projects going on right now. But I think that working how we are working together with the different department, we can achieve that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you, Jorge.
So we're working on the JFK library. All right, so this year we ordered 108 sets of line bunker gear. It arrived in June, and our fine men and women have been using it to put out fires. We also ordered hose, and they should be here in November of this year. That is not the look of our training building. We're getting something much better. We're getting a state-of-the-art burn building that looks like a single-family home. So we're training like we should. Historically, in fire academies, we had these towers, smoke towers. But realistically, when you live in a residential area like ours, it's a single-family home with a garage. So the walls move. So it's something that you can create different scenarios where people don't memorize where everything is. So it's a great tool for my guys and girls to train.
You create some efficiencies in there.
I think we have like 6.
No, porque-
Back sheds.
Did say that loud.
We also ordered SCBA breathing packs. We ordered 93 SCBAs and 270 masks. Any question? No? I'm not gonna say.
Good evening. First of all, I wanted to thank the council for the constant support that we always receive in regards to your approvals for everything we ask for. So on behalf of the police department, of our men and women, thank you for your support. This past year, we purchased 54 vehicles. We've received approximately 37 of them. As we know, we have an aging fleet, and it's been difficult receiving these vehicles, obviously manufacturer problems. Besides that, we've purchased the mobile radios, approximately 50 of those, retrofitting the units that we receive with all the emergency equipment. There's a heavy cost to that. We've purchased approximately 60 laptops for our officers, equipment for our men and women that we want to ensure that's not aged and appropriate with the new software. And we recently also purchased that we're waiting for a couple of speed trailers that I know we've had conversations in regards to speed measurement devices for our city. So again, thank you for the support, and we will continue moving our agency to be the envy of all others.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm waiting for my picture to come up. There it is. And so as you can see, we did a remodel in-house through our construction maintenance department. They did an amazing job. This is our before and after. And the intent of this project was to improve the customer service experience that we now have with customers. And we have customers now come in. Our wait time is shorter. They come sit down. We help them across one-on-one. There's more privacy between customers. And the experience is definitely noted and appreciated. So I just want to thank everybody for this project.
Can you share, I don't know if you have this on the top of your head, but how many licenses do we issue in the city of Hialeah?
On average, about 23,000
23,000 a
Mhm.
year?
a year.
And is that an increase from the year before, or is that about the same?
There's a percentage that is automatically renewed every year. So we have like an estimated budget that we hope that gets renewed every year. There is also new that we also deal with, and sometimes that new process can take a little bit of time. But yes, we usually estimate about 21 to 23,000 licenses a year.
So if you could just briefly state how your ability to issue new licenses, how does that interface itself with what Durham does with us as far as approvals from Durham?
Well, off the top of my head, last time I pulled a report, we have about 648 cases that are pending Durham. Why is it so difficult, and why do we have all those pending cases? We have issues that we deal with when it comes to industrial waste permits. Grease traps is a big one. We have all kinds of stuff that people deal with, the pump stations, that when they get to the point where they get to Durham, they get denied, and sometimes they're stuck there. You know, there's a lot of people that can't afford to replace a grease trap for $20,000.
Right.
So it becomes a little bit difficult, and we've seen a lot of turnaround when the customer gets stuck in Durham, where they end up selling their business to somebody else who can possibly afford a type of expenditure like that. We also have, you know, we have in our department 2 staff members that actually have taken the initiative to learn a lot when it comes to Durham. So we've taken it upon ourselves to help the customer, because it's not something they do every day, right? So now we take the initiative to help the customer apply. We know how to fill out the industrial waste applications. We go through the GDO applications for the grease traps, the assessments. We check everything before it gets submitted into the portal. Why? Because after a certain amount of denials, Durham charges. So what we try and avoid is an extra expense to the customer, right? And there's times that the customer doesn't understand the technical lingo of and the engineering department in Durham. So we try to explain it, and if we don't understand it, we have contact information for people who can help us and guide us through that process as well.
Right.
We've come a long way when it comes to
Yeah,
Durham.
and look, I think, you know, doing some of the outreaches that we've done, setting up at Mylander, which we want to continue to do. It's so important for those that are going to invest. And we've heard a lot of stories. People have bought a business. That's the way it ran forever. And then we find out a whole storm of bad things that are happening, right? But, you know, her department really, you know, I get more good things coming out of that department, and comments that they're working with people, trying to, you know, navigate the county, navigate the state, navigate what have you. Okay. And they do a really good job. I don't know what they did before, but I got to just tell you, since I've been here, I feel that we're like-minded in the sense that we got to help, right? And I know all of you feel the same way. You bring them cases, and so they do real good work there. And I appreciate
Thank you,
that, because
We also have our next community outreach event on October 5th,
there you go.
and Durham will be there on
Outstanding.
location.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
You're right.
Ms. Gruish does something special that is unheard of on public employees. When I've called her with an issue that a business is having, she tells me, give them my cell number. When have you ever heard of a public employee, a director doing that? So thank you so much for that. It makes us look great, and it helps them to start a business in Hialeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, and one of the biggest things in my department is I instill, like, it's important to serve the customer. We're here to serve the community. So customer service is huge for us. Thank you.
Job.
Ricardo Suarez, CIO, and I'm going to talk about the Wi-Fi project. So we are installing Wi-Fi citywide in all city facilities. To date, we've installed here in City Hall, we installed in police training. We'll be moving into the next phase is going to be the 5 largest parks. So Babcock, Walker, McDonald, Mylander, and Buggy Dent. Once we complete that, we'll be moving into JFK, the libraries, the fire stations, and we'll be closing out with the affordable housing locations.
Right, and this is extremely important. Again, the park experience.
Yeah.
Is all now, all this stuff is connectivity, right? And I don't know why I'd go to the park to play with my gadget, but that's what people do, and we need to make sure that
And it will
that we
be,
have that connectivity, and they can, yeah.
it will be public free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So
Public Wi-Fi.
The only public free Wi-Fi we haven't had, you know, Starbucks.
that is accurate. We're
I
working
use
on
it
that.
for-
We're fixing that.
So, yeah,
We're stealing their signal,
Yeah.
but don't tell them.
actually, I used it this morning. That's why I'm. Actually, I thought about it. Okay, where do I go?
Yeah.
And I ended up at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Espinosa, Transit Manager. Let's go forward. Backwards. This year in transit, we set out to bring transit to the future. To our residents, give them more time to commute, have their day planned, to help them figure out what's the best avenue, any information that we can publish to them. So we did the transit app. We also did a free fare for the residents. This year alone, we've seen our ridership grow up by 300 riders a day. So it's making a big difference for the rider. We've heard very good things from our riderships. That it's free, that the riding, the app is getting movement now. So a lot of people are downloading. We can also see in our transit department dispatch, the calls are going down. Midday, morning, afternoon, the calls were back to back to back to back. You know, when's the bus gonna be here? Is it 15 minutes away? Is it 20 minutes away? Do I wait inside? Do I wait outside? The heat from this summer alone, people are like, oh, I'm gonna be in my house. It's, you know, a couple blocks away. Give me an estimate of time, an ETA, when the bus is gonna pass by. We'll say 20 minutes. Now with the app, they have better knowledge of where that bus is gonna be at. We can also, with the app, publicize anything that's going on, the weather, our timing. Also, if you see here on the new buses that we put on, we advertise for the police. So our advertising, we extended the freebie service citywide. We added 2 more vehicles for freebie. That on-demand service is also increasing by, I'm gonna say about 1,000 riders a month. We were looking at 2,000, we're at 3,800 right now. So riders, the residents and the riders are calling out to ride our buses, get on the on-demand. And like I've been saying it this whole year, if we get the people to the main avenues, they can use our system and go commute wherever they need to go.
Huto, do we capture through the chair? Huto, do we capture age demographics or no?
They do, freebie does give me an age demographic. Most
On the
of our
buses?
oldest residents on buses, no.
Oh, okay.
Buses, I just do ridership and
Okay.
handicap chairs.
Yeah, all right.
On the infotainment system inside our bus this year, we put the infotainment system, so now it's digital. I'm glad to announce tonight that phase 2 will be soon in our bus, which is audio. So not only can you see it, you can also hear it. Phase 3 is also going to be a geofencing. So depending on the business that wants to advertise, like she did, when we get next to her zone, it will automatically prompt her commercial. And she can go ahead and say anything audio wise so that people can read it. Also on phase 2, the bus stops are going to be announced. So if you ever did the county buses, as it tells you what the next stop will be, our buses will be doing that. The casino is one of them that we're going to sign off. City Hall, our main attractions, parks, main attraction, JFK Library, Mylander, which is on our route, Bobcat, that's on our route. So we want to publicize Hialeah first. And then we're going to go step by step with the benches. And thank you for your support for transit. I really appreciate always, you know, helping us out.
And I know it sounds like we're helping us, but we're helping the residents and the commuters in the city of Hialeah with transit.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I want to thank all of you for your patience. I know this is lengthy, but I thought it was extremely important. You've all supported these projects. It's important to understand where the investment is going into our city and how we're trying to help the quality of life of our residents. Through your support and your effort, we've invested over $6 million in life and safety. There's a $28 million and change investment in public works and stormwater, citywide renewal and replacement projects, 1.6 million, park and rec, 5.8 million, information technology projects, 3.1 million in total, over $45 million invested in projects that residents could see. And, obviously all this stuff needs to be sustained. So I wanted to thank you and at the same time, thank all the department heads and their employees. They do a great job. And, I found that when you just let people do their job and let them know you support them, there is no magic bullet here. There could be errors and mistakes, but man, we got to do things and keep the ball moving and be very receptive to our residents. So when we've heard complaints about parks that's transmitted through many of you to me, we address them. We've talked about transit experience, when we've talked about, the issues of if there's flooding when a rain event and all of us are out in the community trying to do our role. It's transmitted to them and they react quickly. Okay. Their phone numbers is not turned off on weekends. They answer, I can't tell you how proud I am of all the work that they're doing. And you all should be proud of the work that you've been doing, supporting these projects. And I think, we just got to sustain and continue going. I say often, Hialeah está de moda. And right now we're living a very good moment of people coming here to invest. So it's not just the department heads and their employees, the folks in finance that are working to make sure all these numbers work, their synergy between all of them, Ruth, Jorge, Pedro, the work that they do behind the scenes, important, the members of my staff, which are always accessible to you at any moment, they're accessible to you to help, make you better council members and be able to deliver on the things that you are seeing in the community. So, this is a total team effort. And, but I thought it was extremely important. You see what you've supported, actually getting done. Okay. This is not, you support something that's gone in a vacuum. It's here. This will also be made available to the media, the public. I'm sure we'll put it up on our website so people could see, the projects that are being undertaken. So I want to thank all of you, for the presentation and thank all of you for your attention.
And thank you, Mayor, for bringing this. It's nice to see everything that's being done. And I would also like to thank everyone that's working really hard and doing all of this. Thank you. Anyone have anything else? No? Okay. So moving on to comments and questions. No, because they did present.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi, my name is Maria Gonzalez. Everybody knows me as Millie, and I've been a resident in Hialeah for 23 years on and off. And I'm here to talk about the ordinance that we're getting a lot of slack about, which is the RVs and the boats.
Ma'am,
and all
sorry
that.
to interrupt you. Your address, please.
Oh, 1755 West 72nd Street.
Thank
I
you.
live in the townhouses. And when I first bought there, what you see now, this has become a parking lot. It's all commercial vehicles, boats, RVs. They go into the sidewalk and people can't walk, people can't cross. On the way here, I actually have pictures too, guys, but I can't put them up. I took 32 pictures in 5 minutes on the way here. There's 6 lakes where I live. And I went around 3 of the townhouses. I'm not talking about houses. I'm talking about townhouses. The houses, I guess, there should be some type of law where they can have it according to the size of the yard on the side. I agree, but also on the townhouses, no, there's no place to put an RV or a boat. We're supposed to have setbacks in between the 2 houses and they don't. It's like driveway to driveway to driveway. The boat is there. I can show you all these 32 pictures that I just took in 5 minutes on the way here. And we even have a bucket truck. I could show you a big John Deere bucket truck in front of a house. We have a semi tractor in front of a townhouse. There's a house here that has 6 commercial vans. So that's his business. He runs it out of his house. A townhouse, by the way, not a house. And it goes all the way almost into the street. So people can't use the sidewalk. And I'm talking about 17th and 72nd, those 3 lakes right there. So I'm very supportive. I know that the council and the mayor are getting a lot of slack for this. And I believe that it's something that we should, you know, if you hear the residents, we want this. And townhouses should not have, you know, they should not be allowed in a townhouse because you're going to have a boat and a car. I can email you these 32 pictures and it was in 5 minutes, 32. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Millie.
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Just going off what Millie was just saying. Yeah, it's getting crazy out there. It really is. But I want to echo kind of like what we discussed the last time. Have you decided to get a code compliance director? That's one. And secondly, several councilmen has been here for a while. I'm not gonna blame all of them, but you know, people in Hialeah are very resilient. Let me tell you, the people in Hialeah are very resilient. Every time you try to throw something at them, trust me, they're gonna find a way to be resilient and come up some type of way. Like I said before, I don't agree with people putting them in the backyards and renting them out for $1,500. You know, that I have a problem with. But you know, lately I've been seeing, you know, 3 or 4, and some people have like 4 boats and stuff like that. It's crazy. But Mayor, we need a code compliance director, because once we have a code compliance director, right, I know you're going to be able to tackle this issue head on. Okay. The building director obviously has not even enough time to return my phone calls that I've been requesting for months, and meetings that your chief of staff has set up that he did not even show up for 3 times, you know? So Mayor, please, we need a code compliance director. That person obviously has too much on his agenda, right? That he's dealing with building codes. That way, you know, buildings get certified and stuff like that throughout and things need to be built. But at the same time, that way you guys know, okay? I'm talking to basically, yeah, about 3 of you guys that are sitting up here. All these overdevelopments that we've been dealing with, that's why we got higher taxes. And Mayor, also, you just said on the news that we got $114 million more in the budget. Please get a code compliance director. That way we can tackle this issue head on. This needs to be done. But every single time you guys approved all these big developments in Hialeah during COVID, right, that I gave you guys a letter telling you, please be careful, because we really don't do impact studies in Hialeah too. And then now we're paying the price with the overtaxing, you know. And it's not only Hialeah's fault. It goes to the county too, you know. So, but Mayor, again, please, I echo, let's get a code compliance director. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for comments and questions? Okay. I didn't see it. Yeah, usually we sit here so you can see that.
You want to pass it down for me? Eric Johnson, Hialeah Firefighters, Local 1102. First and foremost, congratulations to our boys in blue. Contract, amazing record speed, the biggest raises that have ever been doled out in the city of Hialeah Department. It shows the mayor's commitment to retain his staff. There's no doubt that they have been underpaid for years. They've been overworked and underpaid and simply abused by their former chief. And I hope this starts traveling in the right direction from here on out. It's well deserved. We would like to say that the disparity in pensions between the 2 groups, we don't want to treat first responders differently. We would like a reopener between the fire also. Kind of like having two kids and giving them different allowances. We just negotiated for a year. And we're looking to restore the promised pensions to our members also. I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Let's try to get that to happen quick. Before you have a sheet of paper for the people in the public, it basically says, don't let this happen. It's okay. 2007, we had 323 firefighters. Yes, I said 2007. 2011, we had 260 firefighters. As of today, we have 207. This should explain the problem with the overtime. The overtime budgets keep going up. Numbers don't lie, unfortunately. We've added a fire station. We've added trucks. We've added all sorts of stuff and our numbers keep on going down. Sorry for the fidgetiness. I don't think the meds are working. Damn cancer. But basically what we're seeing is a decline. And in all honesty, we're seeing a decline. The numbers don't lie, as I said before. We've got some major issues that we're going to have to deal with. And for the last year, we've been trying our best to retain our own people. The truth of the matter is, we just had 21 people apply for different departments. We hired 23. We're down to 19 of those 23. 21 going somewhere else, it still pretty much leaves me with 207. I'm 115 firefighters off what we started with in 2007. We're doing more for less. We're getting our asses kicked in Hialeah. We're doing the best that we can. Construction and maintenance, I'd love for you to drop a crew off at the fire stations. Tim Benjamin and I also walked around the fire stations. We got drywall coming apart. We got roof leaks pouring into day rooms. I got ACs that have been broken for months. Guys, this isn't a place that turns its lights off. When you call 911, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the fire stations. We need some assistance. I know that we're trying the best we can with capital improvements. I don't care where we get the money from. Listen, put a rescue truck on hold, put a fire engine on hold. We need improvements to our station. These are our living quarters. It's where we sleep. It's where we eat. It's where we cook. It's where we run calls. It's where we shower. It's where we wash the smoke and carcinogens off our body. We need a little more attention. We also have to devise a plan on how to retain people. We actually just hired a class of split EMTs. We haven't done that in 16 years. We're lowering our standards. This community deserves the best. We're trying our best. We just got to get it right, working together, moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Mayor, I just have a question on that. Do we have any plans to look at some of those stations? I haven't seen them. I haven't been to see the stations, but do we have any plan to go into those stations, Mayor?
Yes,
For this upcoming year?
yes.
Okay.
Actually, just to clarify, and the mayor's right. We actually sent the risk management department around with us. We actually just conducted extensive mold testing, which is the first time that we've had in years. We did find mold in every single station, obviously. It's a station, it never turns off. But at least they had the foresight to send risk management. And where's Tim? I know he's here somewhere. There you are. We were running around, we sampled the stations. We did find mold at all of them. Some are higher spore counts than others. It does need to be addressed. But simple things. It's kind of like we do things backwards. We redo the bathrooms inside a station, which is great because I've been there. I'll just use Station 4 for an example. And just so you know, Station 4 is the one that the city thought was an abandoned warehouse. No, that's actually a fire station. That was actually a fire station. Because I got called by the mayor's staff saying there's no fire station. There's an abandoned warehouse. No, that's our fire station. It used to be our fleet mechanic shop. But that one there, we just redid the bathrooms inside from 1964. But when we leaned against the drywall in the station, our arms went to here for the drywall because we still have roof leaks. We're spending money backwards. We're spending money backwards. But yeah, they will go into the station, but we need a capital expenditure plan. We got to prioritize things.
Okay, do we have anyone online for comments and questions?
No, we don't.
Okay. So moving on to announcements and amendments.
None, ma'am.
Okay, moving on to board appointments.
None as well.
Okay, now, I would like to move item 11D out of order unless someone from the council is opposed. So we can read it before consent agenda. Yes, 11D.
11D. That's nice. Motion to move 11.
Second.
Okay,
Proposed resolution ratifying and approving the collective bargaining agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 12, and the City of Hialeah, Florida, for a period beginning on October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2026, a copy of which will be on file with the Office of the City Clerk and providing for an effective date.
Okay, well, what's the pleasure of the council, or do we have?
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. We have a motion by Councilwoman Casals Munoz, and we have a second by Councilmember Tundidor.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, go ahead.
You're welcome. You're welcome, fellas.
Good evening, everyone. Emilio Cardoso, the Hialeah Police FOP Lodge 12 President. This past Friday, our officers voted on a tentative agreement, CBA agreement with the city. So the votes came in an overwhelming 221 officers voting yes and only one voting no. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all involved with making the best contract in the history of Hialeah Police a reality. This could not have been done without the support of our city council and our mayor. A mayor who came in with a promise of improving our police department so that we wouldn't be a training ground for other agencies. This contract solidifies that promise. So Mayor Bovo, you have proven to be a man of your word. On behalf of the Hialeah FOP Lodge 12 and all his officers, we thank you. And I'd like to give a quick moment for senior detective for a few words.
Hi, my name is Joe Elosegui. I am the Sergeant at Arms for the FOP. Mayor Bobo, I've been here in the city 30 years, and I have never seen a mayor address problems with the department, react, and accomplish what you've accomplished. Number one, you started in-house by appointing Chief Fuente. The morale is through the roof in the department now. It's great. We used to get it from the station, and then with the city not appreciating what we did, and every bargaining session we had, we gave something up to the point that most of the members of the department that you reinstated their pension came here with one thing in mind, a pension, and it completely changed their lives around last time the pension was yanked from them. And really, you and the city council, you're a man of your word, and don't even think of leaving before your term's up. 2 terms.
You're in trouble now.
Okay. Thank you.
Members, first of all, I want to thank you for your support on this item. A lot of credit goes to our bargaining unit, Ruth, Tim, Elsa, who worked through this. I don't know how many times Ruth was crunching numbers, and I appreciate their work in order to get this thing done. We wanted to shore something up, which had me very concerned. To our fire department, you will not be forsaken. We will continue to work, and I have made a commitment to you also, and we're going to get there. Sometimes it doesn't happen the way even I envisioned, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to come this far this soon. But we've been blessed. We've been blessed because people have come to the city of Hialeah. You heard me say earlier, estamos de moda, and people are coming here. I don't know how long that's going to be. And so we need to take full advantage of all those new investments that are underwriting the growth of this budget. I know some don't comprehend it, don't understand it, okay? But if it's not for all those new investments, we could not do what we're doing here, okay? There's no administrative magic. It's just simply money coming in and making sure that we're investing it in the right spots, okay? So you've seen presentations of everything that's been going on in the city. with our police department. We've come a long way with our fire department. We're not done because we still need one other piece that needs to get done. And I could only pray that the next year that comes, we have again a growth in our community. But I want you all to know this is a team effort where everybody's bought into it. We know the mission at hand. We know what we need to do. We know what we inherited. And we just need to keep plowing through to get to where we want to, so that our fire department and our police department become places where people build careers, okay? Not where they come to train and then go and become superstars someplace else. I'm tired of hearing that narrative, and it's on us. It's on us, okay? On us to not only do it, but then communicate to our residents what we're doing, okay? Don't let yourself slip into the narrative and the BS, okay? You know, we have to be the face and the communicators of what our residents are communicating to us, to the media, when they come to report this thing, you know, despite their biases, despite their angles on these stories, okay? You know, we need to stay firm on what we're trying to do here as a community, okay? And to put Hialeah in its rightful place as a city, an economic backbone to this county, okay? Nothing to be ashamed about. Nothing to be ashamed about. On the contrary, okay? We should be proud of where we're at and where we're going with the city. So I thank you for your support on this thing. This is important. And we're gonna keep coming back to you guys, keep coming back to you to do things that hopefully will move the dial in a positive way for the city.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you all for putting your life at risk for us, for all of us, every day. Okay, so moving on to consent agenda. Well, going back to consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Ms.
No
Garcia.
one wants to put, I'm sorry, no one wants to put an item? No one from the dais or no one from the public? No? Okay, so we have a motion by Council Member Tundidor and a second by Council Member Rodriguez.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zaghi?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz is away. Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed.
Okay, moving on to administrative items. Item 11A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending chapter 22 entitled Code Enforcement, and in particular, amending Article 3 Enforcement Procedures, Division 3, Civil Violation Enforcement Procedures, Section 22-190, Schedule of Civil Penalties of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, to provide for a civil penalty for failure to register, inspect, maintain, or secure properties with mortgages in default by mortgagees, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading, so it's open for public discussion. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zaghi?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz is away. Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, moving on to 11B.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 4, Purchasing and Competitive Bidding of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, to provide for a local business preference, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion, but Councilmember Tundidor, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, this is the item that we talked about regarding local preference. I would like to make a change though, if that's okay. I think right now at the moment, we have it at 5 points. If we could reduce that, amend it and reduce it to 2. If the council's okay with that. Again, we want to make this more of a tiebreaker situation.
Certainly, we can do that. So where you see the 5%, you want to substitute 2%.
Yeah.
And when there's a committee and it's based on factors other than price, and they would be giving 5% more,
Presumably now you want 2%.
Correct, yes. yeah.
Okay,
So I'd like to, like to move on that motion, on that amendment.
you're moving the item as amended.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Tundidor. And we have a second by
There was the second.
Oh,
by-
okay. I wasn't sure who it was. And we have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz is away, Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved as amended. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled on October 10th, 2023.
Okay, 11C.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 entitled zoning, amending Section 98-2200, parking commercial vehicles, recreational vehicles, boats or vessels on property zoned residential, regulating the placement and number of recreational vehicles, vessels, and boats permitted on property zoned residential, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading, so it's not open for public discussion. But anyone,
Chair?
yes, you're recognized.
If it's all right with the council, I'd like to table this. There's some additional changes that I'd like to also incorporate. Listen, and this has become a very huge soundbite and talking point within the media and certain folks. I want to tell you that we have an event coming up this weekend where I already have residents calling me complaining about RVs and folks renting them out, multiple RVs on different properties. So the whole purpose of this ordinance wasn't to come down on folks that use it for recreational purposes, right? The whole point is to be able to reduce the opportunity of folks utilizing it illegally, right? And so that was always the intent. But Mayor and Council, if it's okay, I'd like to table this, review this a little bit more, even get some more community input from now till whenever this is ready. And I'd like the city clerk to bring this back once we add additional changes to it.
Madam President, before you take a vote on it, just look, I concur with you, council member. And thank you for wanting to even address this, right? There are things I think that we need to kind of consider in this conversation, and it does take a little bit, maybe more community involvement. We know that there are some that may use the RV for rental, and in an ironic twist, helps people that then don't come to government looking for housing, right? Which we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take that into consideration. But we also understand that there are folks that are taking full advantage of all the latitude they can of the law. And we have had reports, and with my own eyes, I've seen homes with 2 RVs parked in the back and 3, perhaps more. And, there has to be an understanding of quality of life in our neighborhoods, right? And I will say to the public at large, this is not something that is a delay forever. At some point, we're going to have to address this, because it will become something that we will not be able to address 4 or 5 years if it goes unchecked. Okay, so I concur with, let's keep working on this, but let's not delay forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's not delay forever. Okay.
And Mayor, just to piggyback off of that, look, I've heard from multiple folks, right? And I even got one resident to tell me that, Tundidor, what are you doing? This isn't Coral Gables, right? And I took offense to that. I was born and raised here. I'm raising my girls here. I have my family here. And we continue to see a new young influx of demographics coming into our community. And so what I say to folks like that say that, right, that this is in Coral Gables, that this is in Miami Lakes. I'm not trying to be Coral Gables or Miami Lakes, but I believe we need a minimum living standard. We need a minimum quality of life. esto no es Cuba, right? This isn't Cuba. This isn't a third world country. You know, we have a lot of also older generations that came to this city that worked very hard to earn the little money that they have to buy their home, to fix it up, to put their plants, to do their driveway. And then at the end of the day, they have to sit down in their backyard to see two RVs, right? That's not the intent, right? We don't want single family homes to become trailer parks, right? There's a specific zoning for that, right? There's a specific time and place to have your trailer and to do all that stuff, right? Again, you can have your RV, you know, and use it for recreational purposes, but we should not enable and establish that type of precedence where we're allowing folks to illegally live in them. It not only creates an issue with beautification, but it's also a public safety issue, right? And so again, very passionate about this, and Mayor, we'll continue to work on this. And again, I'd like to bring this back once it's ready. I don't have a date yet, but we'll bring it back when it's ready. All right. So I move to table.
Motion.
So we have a motion to table by Councilman Tundidor, and we have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez, but he's saying he doesn't have a date. So how do we go about that?
As soon as the administration advises me to put the item back on, we'll put it in renotice.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz. Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until a future date.
Okay. So now we're moving on to unfinished business. Is there anyone with unfinished business? New business? Okay, so
Thank you.
we're moving on to land use. LU1.
Ma'am, if I can just record Councilwoman
Yes.
Casal Munoz's vote on the consent agenda, please. Your vote on the consent agenda.
Oh, on A and 11.
Your vote on item 11A.
And 11B.
And then item 11B was amended.
From 5% to 2%.
5% was reduced to 2%.
If
she-
The one to choose.
5% was reduced to 2%.
They're bidding for the companies that are. Motion, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
What are you? When it's back on.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo. Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Okay, LU1.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from medium density residential to commercial district. Property located at the northwest intersection of Southeast 8th Court and Park Drive, a portion of lots 6 and 8, block 3 of 36th Street lawns, according to plat book 24 at page 38 of the public records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. Hialeah zoned R1 one family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Is anyone here for this item?
Motion. And second.
Wait, I see somebody. Are you here for the item? Okay.
Who? Who's coming up? Felix?
Oh, okay.
We motioned it. We can go on. Yes. We don't need.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and we have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor is away. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, we're moving on to zoning. PZ1.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 one family district to C2 liberal retail commercial district, Property located at the northwest intersection of Southeast Eighth Court and Park Drive, a portion of Lot 6 and 8, Block 3 of 36th Street Lawns, according to Plat Book 24 at page 38 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, Florida. Hialeah zoned R1, one family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading and it's open for public discussion.
Motion to approve.
Is there anyone
And
here
second.
that would like to speak on the item? No? Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Casals Munoz. We have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor is still away. Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, we're moving on to PZ two.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from RO Residential Office District and R1 Single Family District to B1 Highly Restricted Retail District, granting a variance permit to allow 17% pervious area where 18% is the minimum required. In contrast to Section E, tree and lawn requirements by zoning classification, Table A of the latest edition of the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022. Properties located at 218 East 49th Street and 226 East 49th Street, Hialeah zoned RO Residential Office District and R1 Single Family District, legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Well,
Chair,
You're recognized.
Deborah, we didn't have much, we didn't have any residents complaining, right? I forgot.
Let him finish comments. Asking the question.
Yeah, we didn't have any residents,
Sir Michael.
any complaints or anything from the residents.
Oh, no, and they are redeveloping, that side is like the south side of 49th Street. The lots are very narrow, so they're combining two lots and redeveloping. That's what we want there, so.
That's right. Second.
Okay, this item is on second reading. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on the item? It's open for comments. No one? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Gonzalez Munoz, and we have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Ms. Casal
Gonzalez
Munoz?
Oh, I said, wait, I said Gonzalez. It's okay, it's me.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor is away. Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, PZ three.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 200 parking spaces where 378 parking spaces are required to incorporate the use of a sports and recreational instruction facility of 11,740 square feet in an existing non-conforming industrial building. All contra to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 18. Property located at 213 Southeast 10th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned M1 Industrial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Yes. Is there anyone here? No. Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Casals Munoz,
And second.
and we have a second by Councilmember Zogby.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor is away. Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, moving on to PZ four.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-181, to allow a 4-classroom seminary in an existing freestanding building with a maximum capacity of 25 students, and granting a variance permit to allow 1 parking space where 32 parking spaces are required, and allow 144 square feet pervious area where 1,350 square feet are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 4, and Section E, tree and lawn requirements by zoning classification. Table A of the latest edition of the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022. Property located at 25 East 4th Street, Hialeah, Zone CBD, Central Business District, legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading and it's open for public discussion. Is there anyone that would like to discuss the item? Anyone on the dais? We have a motion by Councilman Rodriguez.
And second, that would be with the conditions, right, that that zoning has, okay, yes, with the conditions motion.
Okay, and we have a second by Councilmember Zogby with the condition.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
It's
What
PZ
item?
four, PZ four.
Item PZ four.
BZ4.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes,
Motion carries. The item is approved.
With conditions.
with conditions. You need to record Councilmember Tundido.
Yes, please. Sir, your vote for item LU one, please.
Yes.
Your vote for item PZ one.
Yes.
Your vote for item PZ two.
Yes.
Your vote for item PZ three.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to PZ five.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay, granting a variance permit to allow 50% of the units with an area of 705 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum area required, and only 10% of the units can have an area of 600 square feet. Allow a building height of 64 feet, where 55 feet is the maximum building height allowed. Allow 26 parking spaces where 28 parking spaces are required, and waive the building mass and building frontage development standards in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3 subsection B, and 98-2189 subsection 16A. Property located at 20 West 40th Place, Hialeah, zoned R33, multiple family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. We have a motion by Councilmember Casals Munoz. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Tunidor. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, moving on to PZ six.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the construction of a single-family home on a substandard lot having a total area of 4,763 square feet, where 7,500 square feet are required, and allow lot width of 35 feet, where 75 feet are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-499, entitled Building Site Area Required. Property located at 5520 East 8th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading, so it's not open for public discussion, but it is for us. Do we have someone here that wants to speak on the item?
Yeah, no, so hi, my name is Anthony Lopino. I work for the firm that is doing the plans for the design for this house that we're trying to build on the substandard lot. Just wanna,
I'm sorry, address for the record.
I'm sorry,
Address for the
the
record.
address is.
Your address.
My address,
Yes.
5880 Southwest 19th Street.
Okay, thank you.
No, as you said, it's a substandard lot. It's under the minimum required lot space, but we're complying with all the setbacks and everything else that the city has requirements, height, everything of the sorts. So just wanted to please ask for this approval so we can build this beautiful home there.
I know exactly where this is, and this lot has been empty
Where
forever.
are we gonna put our signs now? Our campaign signs. What's going on?
Sign a contract with them, but they have to put our signs
I got the
up.
owners right behind me. You work it out with them and you figure that out.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gonzalez Munoz. We have a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumnidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for October tenth, 2023.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'll be
Thank
there.
you.
Thank you for the coffee.
PZ 7.
Again.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the construction of a new duplex on a substandard lot having a total area of 6,750 square feet or 7,500 square feet are required. Allow a lot width of 50 feet or 75 feet are required, and allow street side setback of 10 feet where 15 feet are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-499 entitled Building Side Area Required, and section 98-501 entitled Side Yards Required. Property located at 302 East 17th Street, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District, legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion. Are you the
Motion to
representing
approve
item?
in advance.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Zogby. Are you representing the item?
Yes.
Okay, and we have a second by Councilmember Gonzalez Munoz. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumnidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and
Thank you.
public hearing is scheduled
Yes.
for October tenth, 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to PZ 8.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the use of a 3,140 square foot bay as a clinical investigational research facility operating 24 hours and 7 days a week with a maximum of 12 patients per day and 8 staff members. Granting a variance permit to allow 48 parking spaces where 93 parking spaces are required on an existing industrial building where 76,505 square feet will remain for industrial use and 3,140 square feet will be repurposed for commercial use. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 5, entitled Minimum Required Off-Street Parking Spaces. Property located at 2300 West 8th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned M1 Industrial District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is also on first reading. It's not open for public discussion. I see we have Cesar Mestre online.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to share my screen.
Okay.
Caesar, I like the look.
Thank you. My wife and my daughter are telling me to shave, so. With me today is Niurka Borrero. She's shows up as Niurka. They can allow her to unmute and start her camera too, just in case you have any questions for her. I realize this one sounds worse than what it really is, so I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you. These are another Hialeah successful business story. They started this medical research business in 2015. They first opened it up at 650 Palm Avenue. Then a couple of years later, they moved to 1015 East 4th Avenue. Luckily, they've outgrown that, so now they want to move to 2300 West 8th Avenue. 2300 West 8th Avenue is the building where Univision was. Everybody remembers that. It was emptied out, and the owner, there's one owner that owns the entire building. It's divided up into 14 bays. It's located on the corner of West 23rd and West 8th Avenue on the northwest corner. My client is leasing one of the bays, which is right on the corner where that green circle is. That's where they are. And this is where the circle is. That's the area that they're leasing. They're leasing 3,140 square feet. This is the way it's divided inside. You see unit 1 is the one that they're doing. This is a letter where we are setting forth the way the business works. We'll have between 10 and a maximum of 12 patients per day, usually take about 30 to 45 minutes. We will, most of the patients, I was told about 90% come through Uber. The pharmaceutical companies, which are the ones that pay for these tests, pay for their transportation to and from our facility. So since there is only one owner, this building that was built in 1969, presently it is industrial. And you know how these warehouses were built with 2 parking spaces, a overhead garage door that opens up, a big warehouse area, and 1 little small office. The owner has agreed, since this is so short on parking, that all of the other bays will have 2 parking spaces assigned to them. And we will have 16 spaces assigned to us for our exclusive use. The owner, Mr. Mark Shansky, is willing and will sign a declaration of restrictions, as will we, regarding the amount of patients, which will be a total of 12. Staff members will be 8. So per the code, we would be required the 16 spaces, which the owner has agreed that we will have exclusive use for us. So based on this recommendation of approval from staff, we will have hopefully the declaration executed by second reading, and a recommendation of approval, unanimous recommendation of approval from your Planning and Zoning Board. We hereby respectfully request an approval on first reading, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Cesar, and so this business is already in Hialeah?
It's been in Hialeah since 2015. Started actually very close to City Hall, 650 Palm Avenue, and then moved to East 4th and 10th. Outgrew that, and now they want to move to this area here.
And so in the last business, in the last location, did they have a 24-hour?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked me that. They do not even have the 24-hour now. That is just something that they're looking at in the future. Right now, they do the studies where the people come in, they follow up with them, and they go home. They want to get licensed to be able to do the 24-hour studies. So that's why we're saying that at this point. If you look at what's up on the screen, they have one big area for men, one big area for women, and that's they just want to have the ability to do this. And I think that's why it fits in better with the industrial nature of this area than it would in any type of residential area.
Yeah, and then and so help me understand, or maybe the applicant can speak a little to it. So like, what type of testing do they do here? What type of research is it? Is it like a drug testing? What are we testing here?
Yeah, what I understand is it's new medications that are going through FDA approval. And then the companies that are actually trying to get this approval have to go through certain tests. And that's what they do here.
So they work, so they work directly with an organization that is seeking FDA approval? Is that what I'm hearing? That
is correct.
So it's not,
different organizations, not exclusively one.
Right. So it's not like they're open retail. Someone could come in and say, hey, I want to do a test and pay me $50. That's not what we're talking about, right?
No, these are large pharmaceutical companies. They are volunteers that volunteer to do the test. But it's not people walking in off the street saying, this is what I want to do, or I need some money, please let me go ahead and volunteer for the drug test. They have certain parameters and certain requirements that are set forth from the FDA and from the pharmaceutical companies in order to vet these people before they allow them to do it.
Okay, thank you, Caesar.
No, you're welcome.
You're recognized.
At least we have a fire department right across the street. Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Gonzalez.
Second.
Munoz. We have a second by Councilmember Tundidor. Please call the room.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for October tenth, 2023.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, good night. PZ 9.
First reading of proposed ordinance repealing and rescinding Hialeah ordinance number 2021-008, adopted on January 12th, 2021, granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay, granting a variance permit to allow 100% of the units with an area of less than 850 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum area required, and only 10% of the units can have an area of 600 square feet. Allow a 7.5 foot rear setback where 15 feet are required. Allow a 2.5 foot interior side setback where 15 feet are required, and allow 25 parking spaces where 37 parking spaces are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.2 entitled Building Uses, 98-1630.3 subsection E2 entitled Development Standards, and 98-2189 subsection 16A entitled Minimum Required Off-Street Parking Spaces. Property located at 90 East 21st Street, Hialeah Zone CBD, Central Business District, legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, well, I guess you don't have to say anything.
Hugo Garza, 701 Brickell Avenue. Happy to answer any questions.
Presence brings emotion.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gonzalez Munoz. We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for October 10th, 2023.
Thank you. I'll see you in a
Good
couple
night.
weeks.
Thank you.
PZ 10.
First reading of proposed ordinance vacating, closing, and abandoning for public use of the right-of-way located on the east end of Park Drive and west of Southeast Eighth Court between Lot 8, Block 3, and Lot 1 through 4, Block 2 of 36th Street Lawns, according to Plat Post 24, page 38 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading, so it's not open for public discussion.
Through the chair.
You recognize?
Just have a quick question, and maybe Deborah can help me out here. Felix, do we have some sort of agreement already that speaks to the details in the enhancements that your team will be making to the park for in that swap? Do we have anything in writing that speaks to details?
So let me submit this for the record just for a second. So I think some of that information is going to be helpful for you. So to answer your question, Councilman Tundidor specifically, when we did the swap agreement, there were in the agreement that was adopted by this council, there were requirements that we had to do in terms of there was a monetary value. And then we either had to do the improvements to create this dog park, right, that we wanted to do there, or we were going to give a contribution to the city. So I don't know, from our conversations with the mayor, whether they want to take the money, right, or if they want us to do the improvements. We have asked the city to give us the names of approved architects for the city that do park work, because it is a public facility. And if that is the case, we could work with those architects to design, and obviously your planner, to design a dog park that meets the standards of the city. In lieu of that, we could just give the city money, right?
Right.
So the answer is that we're open to working as much as you need with the city to make sure that everyone is happy. I also want to state on the record, because I know there's been some back and forth with some of the neighbors, that there's a tree on the park on the area where Three Friends Park is at. That tree is not subject. That area where the tree's at is not part of the swap area. That tree is going to remain there. We're not going to touch that tree. And, if you look through some of the documents that I've given you, you could see that this area that's Three Friends Park is really landlocked. There's not a place to park. You literally physically have locks that you can't get into the park. So by us creating this parking area and the improvements and giving the single family home that's abutting this to the city, then you'll have connectivity and you'll have a nice, a community park. And I also put in, and this is for you, so you guys can see, this is what the mural is going to look like. I know that the administration and Deborah in particular insisted on having a mural on the property. And there's going to be a mural facing, this is when you get off on the 112 expressway. That's what you're going to see. You see that too. And we also have, when you're driving down Lejeune Road and you're going northbound, this is what you're going to see on the second image. So that's the, and obviously, we're going to be working with the city to figure out, the fencing. And so it's going to, we do have work to do, but, it's obviously a process that starts now.
Felix, and for
Yes,
the
sir.
contribution to the for the park,
Mhm.
right? Instead of you guys doing the enhancements, paying the city to be able to do it themselves, what have we determined the value?
Yeah, I believe, and Deborah was here because I think Deborah was the person who actually looked at it. When the appraisals were done, and I'll speak freely, the property that we were giving to the city, I think was actually, according to your appraiser, the one you guys hired, our property was worth more money, right? When Deborah reviewed the appraisals, she said, look, I think in fairness, because of the use that there's going to be parking and this and that, I think she determined that we should pay the city an additional contribution. Even though the property was worth more, according to your appraisal, right? We were going to give an additional contribution of like $120,000 something dollars, more or less was the number she came up with. So we really been following the city's lead in this whole thing. So, we could give the money or we could do the work,
So, and again, just to be clear, because again, residents have, made some comments. So I just want to make sure we dot all the i's and cross the t's. The payment of 120,000 isn't in lieu of, but in addition to.
It's in addition
to the swap.
Absolutely. It's in addition to the single family home that we bought that we're giving to the city.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Through the
Okay.
chair, Madam
You're
Chair,
recognized. Yes.
I just wondered if I could ask, did you give your name and your address for the record?
That's actually very good, Counselor. Felix Lasarte with office at 3250 Northeast First Avenue.
And I just had one factual question, if I may. The payment or the landscape architectural improvements.
Yes.
Has there been any determination as to what date there will be a meeting of the minds on that?
Well, in the land swap agreement, it contemplates that, the city's going to tell us what option they have. The transaction, the swap should take the deal should be consummated by the end of October. So by the end of
there's
October.
a time frame in there to
Yes.
say there's this payment or
Yes.
instead there's.
Yeah, and you guys,
Thank you.
and the city hired outside counsel, George Lott, as the real estate counsel for this, so that he's been working with our real estate counsel as well.
And that time is there, that time.
There's
frame.
there's a time frame that's there, and tomorrow, if you want, I could certainly go through the agreement with you.
Yeah, just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Felix.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Casals Munoz, and we have a second by Councilmember Tondidor.
Ms. Garcia Robis?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tonidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and
you.
public hearing is scheduled for October tenth, 2023.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any city council discussion? No? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Adjourn.